This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Candice Shepherd for the first time. Welcome to the Fam Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Great. We're going to talk to you about your book that you sent to us, Awaken. We got chapter one, and we looked at that, and we're going to talk about your story as because you're talking about running the whole process of like if you're not broken, it's just running old code. And
Right.
I'm just to kind of disclose, I'm a software guy. So code I can understand
Perfect.
from a structural kind of standpoint. So I might like throw some software references in there, but we'll get to the heart of that story. Before we do that, I always ask every guest a couple of questions. What motivates you, and why do you do what you do?
Motivates me is, I thought I was broken for years and years and years, right? And as I dug in and found the subconscious beliefs or codes, as we refer to them as, and learned how to dismantle them, I found freedom from things that I thought would haunt me for the rest of my life or keep me small. And I want that for everybody that wants it. I want that for others.
Yeah, so you're trying to pay it forward.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your learned experience, it's kind of what they like teachers and people, influencers and therapists, what they do is you take your life experience, you take your academic experience, your learned experience, and you pay it forward, because you live by example. The oral history tradition has been a big thing with humanity.
Right. Exactly.
And people tend to learn better if they hear it rather than just reading it.
hmm
So I think that's partly like that human to human connection, when you actually can convey an idea or a concept in that way and make it real for somebody and realize like, oh, I resonate with that. I feel that frequency.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So when you talk about what we're living with by code, where does that code come from? What does it actually mean?
For me, I'm referring to those subconscious beliefs, right? That run us, that we create our reality from. I'm broken, or I'm not enough. I'm unworthy,
Hmm.
and those things that just run us in the background that keep us from what I believe reaching our true potential.
Yeah, I think a lot of times also we have these filters, like because I'm an artist, and a lot of times like filters are important to artists because like we discern something, so we take a lot of stuff in, and
hmm
based on our filter, we get our artistic style. But it's like when you're living as a human being, those filters sometimes mean what you heard is not what the person meant. What you actually experienced is kind of what you got, a predisposed filter that sees X when it's Y or Z or a combination in between.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
don't actually get what's, you're kind of creating this reality, and you could reprogram that if you kind of step away and say, hey, what is the foundational structure or what I'm basing my things on, basing these
Yeah.
ideas on?
Yeah, like a lens of perception. So I was filtering my external reality through this code, this lens of perception that I'm not enough. And so that looked like externally everything was proving that right, because I was living to prove that code right until I
Hmm.
dismantled it.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's like people have that it's this sense of safety too, because you can be safe in an unsafe situation if you feel safe in that.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah.
codependence. You can end up being it's easier to stay in it than to leave, because what's unknown is more scary. You feel more unsafe to get
Yes.
out of it.
Yep. Yeah. That's our nervous system. And these codes are keeping us safe and alive, right? So it's extremely terrifying to when you start dismantling these, because your nervous system is clocking it as unsafe. It's unknown. Wait, we've always ran this code. Why are you going this way? And
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
because they got the wolf at the door, like the ancient, human beings. They actually had a real wolf at the door, and so you stay inside the compound, you stay inside the gate, you stay with everybody, right? Your elders say it's safer in here,
hmm
and then eventually you start getting these virtual wolves at the door, where you get these triggers, and it's like it's not the real wolf, but you're acting like it is, like, but it feels as real. Like you feel just as unsafe if you get that filter comes in. It's like, boom, I perceive this as a wolf at the door, but it's not,
100%.
right?
Right. Exactly.
And so that a lot of the subconscious, like for an artist, subconscious is what we tap into, like what we're able to kind of take, like dreaming in real time,
Hmm.
and call our dreams into our art, and it's kind of a cathartic process. And a lot of us, people say, "Oh, it's coming from the muse," but it's actually a lot of internal stuff and external, but a lot of it's internal that we can call on, and we use that to kind of be cathartic, like run through an experience and then try to make sense of it. But a lot
Exactly.
of people, if they don't feel they can do that, they don't know where to go other than where they feel safe.
Right. Yep. That's how writing was for me. That's how writing's always been for me. It's coming from an internal, and it's coming from the inside.
Yeah, the inside. That's the thing about being a creative, is like when you can, and we can be by ourselves. We can get, like, a lot of times creatives, we can kind of walk away from the crowd and be kind of satisfied in our little work area.
Yeah.
Where, like, we can go out and we'll observe and kind of observe all these things, and then observe things about ourselves, like in the looking glass self. Like
Hmm.
we're observing ourselves and others, and then we need that place, kind of like our safe creative space, to process and synthesize that. But then,
Exactly.
like, then we get out in the world, it's like, well, how do I handle that crowd?
It's so people-y out there.
Too many people, I got to overload, I got to, it's like synesthesia, like, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
So to reclaim your power in this kind of scenario where you're so used to being, like, locked in some toxic loop,
Mhm.
like, how do you go about that? Is it kind of deconstructing that code?
Yeah. So, to use the not enough code as an example, once I really kind of dismantled that, it became silly, like not enough. Whose definition of enough am I chasing?
Mhm.
This is, ridiculous. And when I could dismantle that fear that I'm not enough and sit with myself and feel the power inside me, that's where the truth was. There is no such thing as enough. I am,
Yeah.
period. And that's where that's where the power lies, is that realization.
Well, I think there's so much comparison trap. Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the influencer, keep up with the model, keep up with this.
Yep.
And I've always told people, being a creative person, I'm kind of at a producer level sometimes, like, you get a young artist coming in and they're trying to clone whatever's hot. And then I'm like, what's hot is what's inside you, right? And what's hot is the song that you're scared to show me, right? Because that nobody else has,
Hmm.
but you don't think it's good enough. So you're standing there trying to clone Taylor Swift, or you're trying to clone Beyonce, you're trying to clone, that's already out there. They already exist. Like, what you've got and you're so scared of is what is going to be hot. That is what is you. But
Yep.
you're kind of told, like, you're too weird, you're too different. Like, but that's really what you got. And you should
Yep.
actually, like, dive into that.
Yeah, that gave me the chills, because that's truly what I'm wanting people to realize. We came to this earth and this existence with the potential inside of us to be who we were meant to be. And these codes are filtering us out and washing us down and making us compare ourselves and believe we're not enough. But that potential is never left. It's there.
It's like the perfection trap. Because I think there's, like, and we live in this digital age with, like, the undo button, right? And I think the undo button is like the worst thing for an artist. Because a lot of times in arts is like, you need to actually put it down. You need to put it on paper. You need to get it out. But when you have this undo button, you can just get rid of it. And then, like, where's all your progress?
Yeah, that could have been that's probably your masterpiece, right?
Yeah, but you
You
just,
really
like,
just
well, it
let it.
wasn't good enough, and you just digitally undid it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
And so, how do you stop from, like, doing that in like the actual, like, act of doing that non-digitally, like analog life, like, you don't present and you just keep it in your back pocket. You keep it in your head. You never put it out because you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. And so it's like the whole thing with the arts is like imperfection is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That like the flow state is the thing, right? It's like your 10,000 hours of expertise. Yes, you have to have that, right? Your 20,000 like, to be a master or whatever you're doing. But once you're in that space, you got to throw it out and throw it into the ether.
Yeah. For me, and that my book is a great example. I mean, I was terrified to come out with it, right? I've written children's books, I've written songs, but nobody's ever seen them outside of my family. And so to come out with this book was terrifying. But I was writing a book about living up to your true potential. And here I am ready to mail out the first 50 books. And I'm like, can I really do this? Can I really do this? And what I had to do was realize that was a code. I'm trying to keep myself small. I'm trying to keep myself safe and lock into that truth in my being that this is me, right? And if I'm meant to express myself, I'm meant to be here on this earth and shine my light and be a beacon for those that are looking for whatever I've got, and lock into that truth and put them in the mailbox. And so I think just the more time we spend with ourselves and our truth and our potential, really finding that, for me, it feels like in my gut, right? And I just lock into that and stay locked in as the fears come up. And I'm doing this anyway.
Yeah, because like a lot of times, like if you speak up or you put it out, people are not gonna like it. They're gonna leave. They're gonna reject it. They're gonna, and that's like that's always the big conundrum. Because like when you're in the arts, it's like the bell curve, like it's the outer edges of the bell curve, so it's not in the middle, right? It's on the outer edges, and so a lot of times, if you've got a new idea or a new concept or a different way of saying something, well, nobody else has seen that. And because somebody hasn't seen that, their first, inclination is to say it stinks or it's no good because they don't know it. But that, you have to kind of put a shield up a little bit because like the first thing you put out, when you're an artist is like a lot of times, like you're going to get a lot of feedback. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you live with that?
Right. And I had to sit with that. But then I realized, and I mentioned in my book too, is I don't need everybody to get it. I had to realize for the first time in my life, I'm not chasing approval. Mm-hmm. I'm sharing my truth. This is genuinely how I reclaimed my life. And healing's not one size fits all. It might not resonate with everybody in the world, right? Yeah. But nobody's for everybody. But I know that this is truly how I reclaimed my life. And so the fear is gone because it is my truth. And whether people agree with it or not, or hate it or love it, it's my truth and it's out there now.
Well, it's like the law of attraction. Like a lot of times, like the cool thing about the net is like if you're like an artist and you're sitting in New Hampshire, right, and you put something on the net, well, it's going beyond New Hampshire. So yeah, and I'm an electronic musician in New Hampshire. Most of the people here are folkies. So right. If I try to book a club here, they're going to say, well, that's not folk music. So then I would say, well, I can't make it. But if I go and put it out in the ether, somebody in the Netherlands likes it. Somebody in Australia likes it because it'll find its tribe. It'll find, so like, it doesn't have to be for everybody in my hometown. It doesn't have to be for everybody in the world. It's like, if if people in Tokyo or people would dig it, then that's where I'm going.
Exactly. And it's your music. It's your truth. You built it from your truth and it'll find those that it's meant for.
And that's hard for some people to get because they want the approval of the microcosm around them. Right. And if they don't get it, then they won't even put it into the macrocosm.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the microcosm isn't really behind what you're doing. Like,
no.
Because your family might not be behind you being a writer, might not be behind you being a poet, might not be behind you doing whatever you do. They might say, you know what, you should be in the mill because I was in the mill. Mm-hmm. Right. You shouldn't be an engineer. That's fuddy-duddy. Like those guys are like, oh, there's like pocket protectors. Why you don't need to do that? So it's like what you want to do is uniquely you, and you've got to give yourself like that permission structure, right?
Yep.
To actualize.
Yeah.
Because waiting for to self, people sometimes they wait for self actualization because they're looking for their soulmate to actualize them. Well,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
No. No, right. And I've lost my train of thought, so we can move on. I had a response and it
Oh, you
exited
can
my
drift
brain.
it. But yeah, I think like that's a lot of times people think it's outside themselves,
Hmm.
right? And it's really the key, like, oh, the key thing that you learn is like it actually is inside.
Yep. Yes. That's the whole goal of this book, is to get people back to the inside, to the truth of what they are, and embody it, embody who you are. We are so disassociated as a society, right? We just disassociate. We numb out. We don't want, if we can get back to living in our body, that's where our truth lives. Our body knows intuitively, places to go, or people that aren't for us, and where not to go. And if we can just get back to that, that's my dream.
Yeah, because it's like you're listening, right? So, but people like if you first say, "Well, your listening skills," like, what do you mean? Well, your listening skills is the first thing you do. You have to listen to your heart, you listen to your soul, listen to yourself, right? Before you can listen to anybody else, you have to kind of listen to yourself. Like, what are you saying? Can't all the time? Are you saying won't all the time? Are you saying it's never going to happen all the time? You like tape yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, look at what you're writing in your diary. Read what you wrote. Right, and then start thinking about like then can you resolve that, like
Mhm.
understand that looking glass self, understand where do you actually want to be, like who do you want to be. That's the hard conversation because like that's the thing that a lot of people like they avoid.
Yeah. Well, we're so trained, it's that mental trap. Our minds just talk and talk and chatter at us, right? At least mine does. And it's I feel like it's distracting us from the truth. We're ignoring what our body and our truth and our intuition and our potential is saying, because our mind's up here. Well, this person might think this and this and that. And it's all these fear codes that are
Mhm.
running to distract us and keep us small.
Yeah, it's like the programming. It's like in our in actual software program, we have a thing called structural change and non-structural change. So a structural change is when you take the base foundations of the code, like the foundational structure, and you radically change it.
Hmm.
It's not going to be what it was. It's totally changed. It's like exponential change. But like the non-structural changes is maybe like in a table you change a value.
Okay.
You just change a tiny value, you change a tweak in something just to change in a thing. So like structural change is hard for people.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like that is kind of what you're talking about from what I can gather, is that structural change is the thing that's got to change your mindset.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's that. If I was constantly running not enough on a structural level, and I didn't, it's not like I thought it all the time. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. It was subconscious. And so the way that I would show up is I was trying to people please and fawn over everybody and prove that I was enough. Or, the way my husband showed up would go through that lens, and I would think he thought I was not enough. It was just a
Mm.
constant, this battle of not enough. And when I finally realized that that's ridiculous
Mhm.
and got into the truth and my potential, then that lens shifted. And now I don't see him showing up that way. And I'm not trying to people please and keep everybody happy to prove my worth anymore. And so it was on a very deep level, a structural change for sure.
Yeah, that people pleasing, you can kind of get burned out on that. You can hit like a maximum overload, and then you're just like it's not working for you anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I hit that wall full force, face first.
When you describe your book Awaken, right, as a frequency shift, and in terms of music, like frequency, we talk about harmony, dissonance, disharmony, noise, discordance. Those
Mhm.
are like musical terms, but I think they also can apply to how people kind of like live. Because like you get this idea like a bad vibe. You walk into
Mhm.
a room and you pick up this person's got a bad vibe because you're picking up like a discordant frequency to yours. It's
Mhm.
not harmonious. If you're picking up a good vibe, you guys are like in the same key.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's those structural changes, right? And if you're running, I'm not enough or I'm unsafe, that has a frequency to it. And it's not a comfortable one, right? When you can get into your truth and your power, it's now a different frequency and you're magnetic. People want to talk to you and find out what you're up to and feel better in your presence because you're vibrating differently.
Yeah, and you're going to end up having a more positive experience in life, because what will happen is like frequencies are going to kind of stay around. Like if you're in a
Mhm.
discordant frequency, it's like a punk show, right? It's like a grunge show, and everybody's in the pit and they're all banging into each other.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what's conflict. It's like it's real, it's discordance, and if you're in that, it's going to be chaotic,
Hmm.
and that may be, and then you're going to be in that mosh pit with all that chaos, and
Right.
that's where you're living.
Yep.
But if you go to the other concert where it's in harmony, everybody's got their lighter out and they're all going like, hey, then you guys like, hey, like maybe you can make a connection. You make like it has positive things happen, good things happen. Oh, you run into some good fortune happens. Like, why does that happen? Because you're in that frequency that's more advantageous to your life
Yeah.
moving
Right.
forward, right?
I mean, everything's frequency, right? We're frequency, we're vibration. I fully believe that.
Yeah, because your heart
So,
is a frequency. Your heartbeat's giving off frequency. Your mind's giving off frequencies. Your whole body is electrical energy has a frequency.
yep.
So
Yeah.
everything's like in tune. You can kind of like if you get more in tune, you get more like maybe non-Western Eastern thoughts, like indigenous thoughts,
Hmm.
chakras. People start to realize, hey, there's like the ancient peoples actually they already thought about this. They already talked about this, but you kind of lost it.
Yep.
Maybe because you didn't believe it or you didn't want to think that that was right. But then
Hmm.
you open your mind up to more expansive thing and you say, oh, maybe there's more than one answer.
Exactly. Opening our mind. That's kind of what this is all about. Opening your mind to different ways of thinking about yourself. Start thinking about yourself. Maybe I am here to do something cool like I thought when I was little, or
Yeah.
right, these codes keep our mind in this little box, and we live in this little box of fear and survival and not enough and unworthy, and it creates a life experience. But if we can open our mind to different thoughts and to our potential, we can have a different experience.
It's like childhood curiosity. Like when you're a child, you don't know what you can't do unless somebody's really pounding it into you saying you can't do it.
Hmm.
But if initially children they aren't given that limitation, will think they can do anything
Yep.
until they start putting they get the box starts getting put around them. And
Yep.
and then they start realizing why maybe I can't be president, maybe I can't be an astronaut, maybe I can't do this. I'm not going to go do the ballet because I was like, oh, I can't do it. So,
Yeah.
but like when you have that possibility, you jump on a bicycle, right? And it's like I'm going to do it. You keep on falling off. It's like I'm still going to do it. But if you try to do that with like somebody in their 30s, right? And there's a bunch of people around and they keep on falling off the bike, they're probably not going to get back on it
No.
because they're too
No.
scared about what everybody thinks. When a
Yep.
kid didn't think about that when they're scruffing up their knee, they're like, oh, I'm going to keep on doing it until I get it.
Yeah, we're so plugged into our potential and through curiosity and play when we're kids, and and then we're told, well, I want to be the president or whatever. Well, it's well meaning a lot of the times. Parents don't want us to be set up for disappointment, right? But what they've done is coded us with their life and their version. Well, they didn't reach their dreams. So, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
disappointed. So I don't want my kids to experience that. So I'm going to tell them early on that, let's be practical. Let's take a practical. And we're just handing down this generational code of keeping us small and not plugged into our potential.
Yeah, and today, like, there's a lot of things going on. There's like this is the age of like kind of disruption. Like this is a disruptive age. It's like the industrial revolution. There's like a technology revolution happening that's going to free up free thinkers
Right.
and people who have critical minds and creative minds. But people who have limited mindset, it's going to be very threatening to that base of people because if they can't get out of the box, they're gonna have some trouble.
Yeah, it's gonna be terrifying. All their fear codes are gonna be going red
It's
alert, red
probably
alert.
getting triggered like immense triggers because and then like societal, like the macrocosm has to have to deal with the fact that we've really got to kind of reprogram or get people into thinking they've got to change their code out.
Yep.
Or they're going to have societal issues where it's going to be a lot of conflict.
Exactly. And I think the older we get, the harder that is, right? We're pretty concrete in our beliefs later in life. Our brains aren't as neuroplastic.
Yeah. So it takes work. I mean, that's why you have to go to a therapist, go to, learn Tai Chi, go, kind of pull yourself out, right? Because sometimes in order to, you got the 50,000 foot view versus being like so narrow that if you're right in it, you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you have to walk away, or you got to take a walk in the woods, or you got to breathe.
Yep.
And you got to, turn off all the tech and kind of just sit with your thoughts. And that's hard because it's like, oh, yeah, if you're scared of your thoughts, maybe you got to start there.
I would say that's hard for a lot of people to do. It's not something that we've societally been trained to do. I call it our mind cage, our mental mind cage, and it's terrifying. But if we can sit with it, it will give us clues, as to what codes we have running. Like, oh, they never, they'd always talk over me, and going on and on. There's little clues in there, like, oh, I think I'm not enough, or I think I'm unworthy. And sitting with that and finding the truth, the part of you underneath that's saying, hey, I'm here, free me from this mental cage, right, is how we can really start opening up to those things.
Yeah, because, you think about everybody in the classroom. And sometimes the classroom is geared toward like the people who are willing to step out.
Mm-hmm.
So if the class, a lot of times our American classrooms are kind of catered to like the A student, the A+ student, the one who does participate. Well, they get the accolades.
Mm-hmm.
But then the people who choose not to, they just kind of get allowed to just kind of sit there and not participate.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck in that. And then everything becomes like, okay, I'll just baseline it. I'll just do the bare minimum. I just kind of glide through. I'm going to kind of coast through, not stress it out. But that is stress in itself.
Right.
Because you never really get to be where you really want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you start running a code of, I'm not as smart as the other kids. I'm the quiet one. I don't show up. I'm not this, I'm not that. And your life unfolds that way. You start believing that you're not the smart one, and you're not the one that's meant to do something big, and you're just meant to coast under the radar. You start believing it.
Yeah, that's a real hard thing to do because like you got to start deciding, like, are you, like, you've got these ideas of this concept of survival energy and embodied energy. And I think it kind of, that survival energy is kind of just trying to make it, just like glide through the day, wait till it's 5 o'clock so I can get home.
Yeah.
Hope the boss doesn't give me something to do.
Right. Just surviving. And that keeps us in whatever our nervous system's, poison of choices, whether it's fight, flight, fawn, freeze, constantly in this loop of survival. Oh, there's a fear. Now I'm in flight, or I'm in fight. And it's just this loop. Survival to me is just constant loops. There's never any getting off of it.
Yeah, like a lot of bad loops.
Yeah.
You get stuck in that, running away. Like so you're thinking that the next job is going to solve it. The next relationship is going to solve it. The next town is going to be better than this town. But the one common denominator is you. We're everywhere you were.
Yep.
And the one thing is like, it's not changing, is you.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
So
everything will follow you, right? All these codes aren't going to not follow you. Or
yeah, so changing the place doesn't change the situation.
It's all internal.
And so, like, when you start living your truth, is there some like guilt to that? And how do you get through that?
As long as I just stay locked into my truth, the only guilt is that I didn't get there sooner. I didn't learn about this stuff, and I handed things to I have 3 daughters, and I can now see pain that I caused by running a code. I've got to rule with an iron fist, right? And these things that I caused before I knew better. And so that's the guilt that I carry. But also, guilt and shame is a loop that keeps us from growing. And so rather than feeling guilt, I've committed to constantly learning and growing, providing whatever resource they need to heal from what I've done. And that's kind of what this book was. It's like my map for them out of what I handed down before I knew better.
Yeah, it's like the lesson learned. Like a lot of times in life, you have to have this incremental change. And there's this concept in business of like you have like this idea of waterfall where you're trying to get everything all done at once.
Okay.
And then but that's hard to do because you're never going to have the complete picture. So there's always going to be something lacking. So you're going to be thinking that you're not good enough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Always. Like if I'm not growing, I'm dying. I don't ever want to stop growing and learning and evolving and doing better.
But this agile method is like it's incremental change. And you could do something today, you could release and then know tomorrow, whatever I know today that I didn't know yesterday, I could actually fix.
Yes.
So you see this like in a good example in software is like your phone, all these apps that update all the time. It's because the programmers that, when they first put the app out, version 1, that's what we knew. By the time we get to version 3.567, that's what we know then. And it keeps on changing. And we got to this point where we're not working waterfall anymore. We're doing agile, which is incremental change. As we learn something, we give it to you.
I love that. I love that.
And I think that's if you say, well, what can you learn from a coder? Well, you could learn that.
You can learn a lot. We can learn a lot. But yeah, I love that. And that's been my, I can't go back and undo the things I did before I knew better. But I can just commit to constantly learning and growing and doing better every day.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing because like that gets you out of the perfection trap.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfection trap, I run into all kinds of artists. Is like they got all this, like a painter. Go to their loft. They got hundreds of paintings in their loft. And they're like, are these going to the gallery? Oh, no, they're not ready. But I see lesser artists that actually have the stuff in the gallery and it's not as good as the stuff that's in this loft. And I'm like, you need to put it out. It's hard to get somebody to get to that point where they feel they can put it out because they're just so terrified of like they think they can do better the next day. And of course you could always do better.
Oh yeah.
But like some point you have to put it out and know that as you progress as an artist, like a director, their first film like in their 20s is not like the film they do when they're in their 40s or the 50s or the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be an incremental path of what they end up accomplishing as they gain more experience.
Yeah. That's the book that's out now. It's like the 4th version because for some reason I didn't think to hire an editor. I thought I could read it and edit it myself. So I print them, and it's one thing to read it on Word, but it's another to have it in my hand. I'm like, oh shoot, there's a mistake. Oh shoot, there's a mistake. It's on its 4th version. Because I kept finding mistakes.
They have printings, even in music, we have like, we can create versions or remixes or alternate tracks or alternate versions.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the artists will find out is like the fans actually like the alternate version that the artist hated. The fans actually like it better than what they released. And you're like, oh, I'm not a good judge of my own work.
I know. That's what my husband said. It's okay. You've got like some collector's editions out there with typos. Like,
oh yeah. But the collector's market always likes variation. Variation is the thing. Like alternate versions or, the certain versions like, hey, that's this had a low print run. This one has more print run. This one actually, the errors and omissions or changes like in art is a lot of times is like, that's the thing that collectors want.
Yeah. So good to know because there's a lot out there with a lot of typos I missed.
But yeah, it's just something that you progress as an artist. Like you have to kind of let go, and
Mhm.
letting go, I think, is the hardest thing, right? Like that people never want to let go of something, but at
Yeah,
some point you have to let children go leave the nest. You have to sometimes like leave a relationship. You have to
yeah,
leave a job because you evolved out of it. Like you can't do it anymore, and
yeah.
and you have to move on.
Yep. I definitely had to let go of perfectionism and just say, you know what? There's just something in me. It was a frequency that was moving through me. I feel like I just surrendered. You know, people are like, "How did you write a book?" I surrendered. I don't know. I just had it. I just couldn't not. And
Finally
so I
got there.
just trusted that and put it out and then edited a few more times.
But is it making you think about like now you have another idea and you might write another book, or you're still working on refining this one?
So from the beginning, I knew it was going to be 3 books. So this is book 1 of 3. And I'm working on 2 currently, Unravel, and then the last one will be Unleash.
Awesome.
And it's really big work. Like this is not small,
Hmm.
slap an affirmation on and move on. It is big work. And so I knew I kind of needed to break it into some digestible pieces. So it'll be a 3-part.
That's important because like you have a big picture of what you want to do. Because what it's like, it's a lot of times artists once you give yourself that permission to put the first thing out, then the rest of them start to come.
Yeah.
It's like you break through this wall, and finally, it's like that's that wall. Like you were scared to get on stage when you're like an early band. It's like the first day you go onto that stage and you say, I'm gonna do it. And then every time you go after it, it gets a little easier or it gets different.
And addicting.
Yeah, and it just becomes that becomes the process, becomes the thing. Because like if you're an author, you can get to go. You come on a podcast, you go to a convention, you go like you speak in to a radio interview. It opens up doors, and maybe you weren't comfortable talking, but then you got to step up. It's like, oh, now I got to present.
Now I got it. Yeah, writing the book was the easy part. It was everything that came after.
So, have you ever thought of doing like an audio book?
I have. I'm working on sound. I want to work on finding either a sound studio or getting this stuff. We're probably moving here in a few months, and so
Mhm.
I don't want to really invest in making this room soundproof. So it is. It's in the works and it's on my mind.
Yeah, just because the people today, like I was going to get into like attention span, because like it's interesting when I talk to authors, because I'm a child of the '70s, and like a lot of times if you look at book length, like book word count, like the word counts are like 200,000, 300,000. Now word counts are like 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, a lot smaller because it's like we're in this information age, and people are getting pinged on their phone, on their wearables. They're so distracted. They're watching Netflix and they're watching, Apple at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's like, well, how come I don't know what's going on? Because you're watching 3 things at once.
Yeah. Your attention's a little spread thin, but we're all guilty of it for sure.
The one thing is like when you start to make it, one thing I noticed I was reading about beliefs. Like money is the root of all evil is kind of like the starving artist belief.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who are like say, well, I'm a legitimate underground artist. I don't believe in being rich. I think that's like the root of all evil. It's like the best thing to do is for me to be a starving artist having a real hard time, which means I'm more like I'm really legit.
Right, right, right. And I think there's a difference between, selling out and making wealth with your art, but that's a real thing is, money is the root of all evil. And I think there's a lot of really good people out there with that belief that if they had the means could make amazing change and do great things with that money.
Hmm.
But they have this belief that's the root of all evil because I think in the past and up to now, it's been people that maybe haven't done the greatest things with money. And so it's easy to have that belief. But if we had a shift in the collective of who had the money, we would see some real change.
Yeah, because if you're very innovative and you actually hit, you sometimes you get these people they're just phenoms, and they finally they get it, and then they spread the wealth, and they're like, wow, They're out there, and it's because they put themselves out there.
Yeah.
Like in the music, they had like Bono. Bono used to like say, "I just don't want to be a rock star," without saying something. So he would go and fund things and do world food programs for poor
Right.
kids. And he just put it, let's say, hey, there's nothing. I could be a rock star, and it could be about access. It could be about me being like having gold and all this stuff, or I could be a rock star and actually could like tie myself to a cause.
Exactly.
So it doesn't mean that yeah, I got a lot of money, but I have some beliefs, and now I can actually do some things and move things forward. And so that's kind of what you're talking about.
Right. Like money can be an amplifier, right? I don't think money is good or evil. It's a frequency, it's energy, it's money.
Yeah, it's a tool. I mean, it's a means to an end.
Yeah.
It depends on which end you want to use. Like if it certainly kind of depends on you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a nefarious mindset and you want to kind of control people, like, well, then you might use it for power dynamics.
Exactly.
You think people should be helped, and you're going to go and say, hey, I'm going to open up like a hospital for kids with cancer.
Right.
Then that's where you're going to put all the effort in. And that needs a lot of money. So then like there's nothing there's like that's, or I want to go and build clean water supplies all over the world for people. That costs money.
Yep.
So you can have, like, there's different things you can do with money. It depends on what you want.
Exactly. It amplifies. It's an amplifier, right? And if you want to do good things, then that takes money. And if we believe that money's evil, then we're pushing it away from us. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be doing the good that we could be doing with it.
Yeah, it's this generational, like, if people are stuck in poverty and they get this generational kind of mindset that they can't get out of it. And then once in a while you get people that are like can push themselves out, and there's always like you got to do it from your bootstrap. You do it, self-made people. But the self-made people, if you really check them out, it's not all them. Like a lot of times they just don't tell you all the people that helped them along the way.
Right.
So a lot of times I think people have to understand like the Horatio Alger myth and all these like these people. It's, I just totally did it by myself. It's like that usually is not the case.
I don't think there's many self-made millionaires out there. I think it's a team.
Yeah, everybody like
there's an engineer. Somewhere.
There's an engineer. You don't actually credit who the engineer is, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
GE wasn't just one person. Everybody knows like the whole story, but it's like hundreds of thousands of engineers.
Exactly.
Not just one engineer. It's like, but that's where you want to make it seem like it was one guy. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. So I think when you start to realize that you can work with people, but you have to work with yourself first. That looks like the baseline, right?
Mm-hmm.
But but once you're in a positive mind frame, then it's like you're saying that law of attraction, that frequency, the good vibe. Then you're going to be on a path where those opportunities and those relationships will happen that move you forward.
Yeah, right. And there's the law of attraction and frequency, and then there's also a reticular activating system in our brain, and we're literally looking for what we're looking for. So if we believe something, then that's what we're going to see, right? And if we can get into our truth, okay, I'm here to do something really cool. I'm here to create something amazing. Your brain will start finding those opportunities. So that's another benefit of getting rid of those codes, is what you start seeing out in the world.
Yeah, and there's like the noble like worker that you just work hard till you're 65, and then you go and live out your dream without like trying to live your dream in your life.
Yeah, right. and that works for a lot of people, right? And I'm not going to knock anybody's path. If you love your job and you're going to work till you're 65, that never felt right for me. I'm here to do something bigger. I'm here to have more of an impact. I'm not here to sit behind a cubicle all day and let my dreams die.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, because you have to understand, like, well, whose dream is that? The CEO's dream for you?
Right.
Or is that your dream for you? So it's like, right. Because everybody's like, oh, I want to be the boss. I want to be like, well, is the boss living in the cube?
Yeah,
They're on the
exactly.
jet.
Yeah,
They're on the
exactly.
yacht. They're around here. They're going all over the place, but you're stuck in the cube.
You're the cog in their wheel. And if that's,
If
I'm not
that's
gonna
what
knock
they,
anybody,
yeah,
but
I
for
mean, I
me,
think it's comfortable for some people because they want the steady income. They want to know the check's there. They want to
oh,
know the
and
benefits there. And so,
totally honor that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and my grandpa, my pa, a lot of my uncles, like that's what the life they live. Um, but we're living in a world now where, like, the loyalty. My father was with this company for like 30 years. My uncle was with the company for like 25 years. Like that was like the world, that world.
Yeah.
But the world a lot of us live in is like companies don't have that loyalty to their people anymore.
Yeah, pensions aren't a thing anymore.
People like a lot of times it's hard to stay somewhere 5 years.
Mhm.
It's hard to stay there to 1 year. It's like
Yeah.
so it's like that world is different now, right? And so there's a lot of people still measuring. It's like, oh, that's the good old days, and they're stuck in like, oh, this is what it should be, instead of like,
Mhm.
what is it?
Right.
Like, what is it now
And
versus
what
what
could
is
it
it?
be? Exactly.
And like energy is saying that it can't be destroyed. It's always like there. It's like it's always gonna, that's kind of like the Einstein concept, but it's a true thing. It's like if your energy is there, you can keep on pushing. You
Oh
know.
yeah, right. And they've done studies where can they look at a leaf and they can see the energy, whatever machine they're using, and then they cut the leaf and remove a piece of it. The energetic part of the leaf that they cut away is still there.
Hmm.
Energy cannot be destroyed. And so yeah, we have these codes running telling us we're not enough and we're unsafe and we're unworthy. But the potential that you came to this earth with, you felt when you were a kid, is still there. It's just buried under these beliefs.
And just got to have some more nurturing for yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think some people think like self love, oh, that's corny, or they think that they don't understand. It's like if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
Right.
And a lot of times people say, well, that's hokey or that's foo foo, and they can't get into it, right? But really, that's the core of the core.
Yeah, yeah. You can't give to somebody something you won't give to yourself.
It's hard to get out of that frame for a lot of people because it's like people with like meditation, like breathing exercises. Some people that can't meditate, they
Yeah.
just well, it's not me. I can't do it, right? And
Yeah.
they get locked into that. But it's like there's just a way to like, well, what can you do?
Can you do?
Can you
Exactly. Can you
can you
breathe?
walk away from the headphones? Can you turn off your phone? Can you just go out and walk? Could you
Yep.
go and cook? Maybe doing something that makes you feel good and feel like you.
Yeah. Can you
And you
turn on
kind of,
your favorite song and dance
yeah,
and
you're
feel
honoring
how that
yourself.
feels in your body?
Yeah, honor yourself. Like, and it's
Mhm.
not bad to do that. And it's like get out of the mindset that it's not proper to do that.
Yeah, like it's selfish to pour into ourselves. And that's that when I was people pleasing, I was, people pleaser my whole life. I was giving from an empty cup and so it wouldn't land, right? It was never enough. And when I had that shift of it was really hard. I felt like I was being selfish. Like before I give to my family, I'm going to journal in the morning and meditate or work. I'm going to pour into me. And what started happening is my cup was full and I had overfill to give to my family.
Hmm.
I wasn't totally depleting myself anymore. And they feel it's a much higher energy exchange and it changes everything when you start pouring into yourself first.
Yeah, they have more to give, and then you burn out. You're not in the burnout phase.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like my pop used to be a salesman, and he used to give so much to the outside. By the time he came home, he had like nothing for the inside,
Yeah.
and because he gave too much, right? And he didn't find a way to give himself grace other than to kind of just go off to the corner and like listen to jazz or watch the sports and then not want to be interrupted.
Hmm.
So his idea was to kind of give him that self that space, but then he wasn't there for us. So you have to find a balance.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like he was, his pop didn't teach him. His pop didn't teach him. They didn't
Right.
know. Nobody knew.
Right. Right. Just fill your cup, and before you know it, you're overflowing and you have so much more to give.
So, are there some lessons learned over the time you were writing the book, or from other things that you think would be interesting for the audience that you could maybe give us?
Some lessons learned about writing the book or about what's in the book?
Well, you can pick which one you want to tackle first.
Well, we kind of touched on a little bit, with writing the book, the creation is, I didn't wait for it to be perfect. I stepped through the fear and did it anyway. It was one of the most terrifying things I did, but the feedback that I'm getting and the way it's changing people's lives, I don't care about the typos. I'm so glad that I got rid of the perfectionism and just did it because it's landing and it's helping. And as far as the content in the book, lessons learned, I just want people to know that they're safest in their body, and never to give their power away, right? Find that power inside you. Find what's keeping you from reaching for your dreams, or what's this constantly running in your mind. Not enough is ridiculous, right? That's not a thing. And just really start paying attention to what makes your body feel good and what makes your body not feel good. And find your truth. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, the one thing I always notice, because like you get people and they're trying to fit everybody into like the 10-step program, the 15-week thing. And I'm like, the thing is like you may have been successful, right? And you did this 10-step program, but my example is, yeah, like you're doing these 10 steps that will work for you, but there was like 10 years that led up to that you're not really talking about. And so it's like, it's the 10 step plus the 10 years.
Yeah.
And that 10 years is different for everybody. And they have to find that. And and then they wonder why it doesn't work, is because you're not understanding, like you're not showing the whole picture. Right. You're giving like a very like surface level picture of it, and it's not going to work.
Right. Yeah. And some people have that linear mind. They can go from step to step, step to step. I'm all over the place. Right. And to just give ourselves grace. And, even though I disrupted a code, that doesn't mean I'm never going to feel it again. I'm never going to be in that space where I'm wanting to go back to comfort. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
But I go back to it with a new awareness of, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, I'm here again. Breathe, feel my feet on the ground. Like, because my nervous system goes to freeze. If I think if there's a threat, I'm frozen. Mm-hmm. And so I started to kind of, oh shoot, I'm frozen again. Maybe I'm not healing, but really I was frozen, and I could say, okay, I'm frozen. I can breathe. And so
you're learning. You're getting tools to like be able to address, and knowing that life is like is not a calm sea. It's going to be waves, and sometimes there's going to be waves that are pretty high.
Yeah.
So like you have to regulate, and then you have to know that sometimes there are situations where it's going to be hard to regulate. It's going to be a constant process. I have to have a sustainable method to know that one day, might not be as good as the next, but every day has possibility, and you can have wins. And there's going to be losses. There's never going to be not going to be a loss. So how do you handle when the adverse thing happens? Like in music, we have this thing called a bad note. There's no bad note. There's an opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
So if you're playing like fusion jazz and you hit a note that's not expected, the other guys in the group will actually change the composition to match your note. If you're playing classical music, they would stop the composition, say you hit the wrong note. Because that is something that was pre-written, it was known, and it has to be that way. Okay. Where in jazz, we're more fusion and modal jazz, we're more open to say, hey, that could change. And we're master musicians, and we'll actually change it to match it. And the audience won't even know we made a mistake because we're just evolving the composition. It's a different way of thinking.
I love it.
It's a different way of being. And, some musicians, there's like, you put a classical musician in a fusion group and they're like, what's the next note? It's like, well, like, you don't feel it. Right. You're like, I can't do it.
Right. Oh, so how do I handle something adverse? Well, in the book, there's 5 chapters: spotting the code, disruption, neutrality, reclamation, and embodiment. And so I kind of just assess where I'm at, oh, am I just spotting that something's going on? And am I saying I want to change it? A lot of the times I just go back to neutrality. Neutrality is where I just breathe, like, okay, I'm running a code. I'm scared. This happened. I don't know how to deal with it. Let me come back to me and breathe for a minute. And then I can decide what my next choice is, and then I can move forward with it. So just getting neutral and where I can start to think and feel clearly.
Yeah, so you found a way to be able to kind of roll with the punches, roll with the situation. It's kind of like the improvisational skill, an athlete's got it. The ones that don't freeze when they get a play that they didn't expect it. They kind of, it's like, oh, can you be that creative, right? Can you actually kind of, tap into your spirit, tap into your soul and your heart and the kind of subconscious, and not be so logical that if that next step doesn't equal 1 + 1, right? It's something like it's algebra. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't say, well, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, and always remembering to never, ever shame myself. Just the moment we start shaming ourselves, we're stuck in that guilt victimhood loop. And so that's what I'd want everybody to remember, is just never shame yourself. Every version of you got you to where you are today.
Yeah, giving yourself grace. That's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because there's a kind of, people say, "What's a graceless age?" It's like, well, you can stop it by putting more grace on yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show today. We do have your link to your the frequencylab.to, and then your Instagram, Candice Lyn _Awaken, which is the name of the book. And Awaken is the book, and it's out there in the world, right? So everybody can get it
On Amazon.
Amazon. So we do encourage people to click the links, and they are fully clickable in the platforms that we're on. We were just on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick. We will be on major platforms like Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon, and iHeartRadio by tomorrow. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the Family Electric Ghost podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful. Thank you, Phantom.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well.